back at it again. Okay, now this time we're going right back up to 10. So we lower the weight again, and now we're cranking. Let's go.
And this set's a real doozy. Going back to 10, you really feel a lot of muscle fibers kicking right in. Cycling the reps is one of the most powerful strategies you can do. What Wade's doing is by cycling the reps from within the same exercise, in the same workout, is very, very powerful.
Woo. We're really feeling it now, so don't be worried, keep hydrated, take a little sip. Boom, back at it. Now, I'm already starting to feel that oxygen that we talked about. So one of the strategies that you want to do, just get down, you can either stand up or sit down, relax yourself in between the set. Okay, and you do a double exhale. So that double inhalation will actually get more oxygen into the cells to help speed the recovery, more blood flow, back at it again. So that's part of the, also, you're really burning fat as you're doing your workout. So even though it's a weight training workout, that oxygen debt's building up to keep your metabolism revved up for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, welcome to the metabolic momentum magic zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whoever said that you couldn't get lean while building muscle didn't try Wade's training strategies. Notice how high he's going with his elbows. So the arms are rolled straight.
Good. Perfect, okay. That's the first exercise sequence. We're gonna go right back at and hit the next set, so get ready. How was the mastery program created? In other words, what is it that got me to the point that I came up with the mastery course? And it's a really good question, because really it was the evolution of about 18 years of training from the time I started when I was 15 years old, and how, you know, in my own barn in the gym way back when, boy, it seems like eons ago now, and then how that expanded through the years as I learned more and more information. And what happened is even after I went to the Mr. Universe contest, I recognized that there was still a point missing. You know, I had followed all the techniques that were out there in the world. I had followed the training from some of the top trainers in the entire world to help me, you know, going not only through the gurus that everybody knows, like, you know, Arnold and Pearl and all those guys, but it was about implementing like personalized coaching. And still at the very end of that sequence, I realized, you know what, there's still something missing for the natural guy. Because natural bodybuilding is completely different than the chemical warfare that's being out there today. I mean, anyone that's ever picked up a barbell and gone to the gym and read a magazine recognizes there's some sort of gap between what's happening in the magazines and on the DVDs you see traditionally and what's actually going on in your personal life, in your personal training routine. And I said, what is it? And fortunately, I was able to meet in with a couple of amazing doctors, a couple of amazing trainers, and I got deeper inside the Bill Pearl training, which I thought was one of the greatest natural bodybuilding trainers in the entire world and athletes. And so what I did is I took everything that I learned from guys like Scott Abel and their innovation training, their foundation trainings, and then I integrated with the foundation work that Bill Pearl had built on and Garanda had, what they had achieved. And then I fused it with my own information, my own experience, and the technology that's now available from some doctors out there, like such as men like Dr. O'Brien, and fused this into a whole new concept. In other words, on the shoulders of these legends, we were able to build another level of training that integrated all these components that'll dramatically reduce the time that it takes for you to get as big as possible. And so that was my goal, and that was what I wanted to achieve, and I feel that we've done a great job in achieving that. Okay, so we're on to the next sequence in the routine. I've already set up the weights. We're doing bench press and bent over laterals. I'm going to show you a couple different variations. I always laugh with this one because everyone always asks, how much do I bench? or how much do you bench is a sign of how big or how strong you are. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. We're talking about working the chest and the front deltoids, okay? And that's what we're gonna hit. So in order to do that, you have to use a weight that you can actually feel the muscles. So let's get into it, and I'll start demonstrating by doing. That's the best way to go. So, you know that. Now there's two schools of thought. Some people like to put their feet apart on the ground, and then when you get a little bit better, you can put your feet up here on the bench to flatten the back. Either way, you want to keep your shoulder blades down. Down to the chest.
The only thing you want to notice is how Wade's arms are like a straight line. And if you do put your feet on the bench, you'll notice that it's good because it really forces you to work your chest.
There we go. One of the reasons why to have the bench with the hooks, so if you're a little off or anything, you can just rack the weight. Okay, that's really important. Safety. I train alone a lot. So any of you guys that are training alone, you want to make sure that you got setups like this so you can, if you can't lift the weight, and obviously get the weight so you can handle it, so you can rack it. It's easy to handle. Don't let the weights handle you. You handle the weights. So here, the first time, we're working the rear delts here in isolation. So we're going to bend right over, arms almost completely locked, and then straight up. Flex. Flex. Flex.
Don't be afraid to use baby weights for this exercise. This exercise, you do not need heavy weights at all. How much are you using weight? 15 pounds?
No, these are 10s actually.
10s, there you go.
And it's not very much weight, but what happens if you're using in a bench over lateral, especially because you're trying to isolate this muscle right here, the rear deltoid. If you start locking up with a lot of weight, you start activating the traps,
right.
You know, muscles in the back. That's not what we're trying to get. This is about understanding that each exercise is like a tool that a carpenter uses to build a certain part of the house. So in other words, you know, if you're going to build, I don't know, a floor, right? You're putting wood, you're using a hammer, you're using nails. Well, that might not be the same thing as if you're putting in a window. You know, putting in a window, you might be using another tool. You know, if you're putting in a sink or something, you use a different tool. So each exercise is a tool that you're going to use to build your house. Okay? Let's get back at it. Okay. Back at it again, and we up the weight a little bit. Now this bench particularly is a little bit high for me, so I'm probably going to rack on this next slap on the way down. So, okay. Adjust it, and then back out.
I've also personally found that coming up a little higher on my chest works really well. So don't be afraid to experiment a little bit from set to set. Trying different things, what works for you. Everybody's body's a little different.
Yeah, that's one of the things about understanding biomechanics. Matt studied 4 years of kinesiology and understanding that limb length, the thickness of your chest, you know, insertion points of your muscles, all these are factors. What's the optimal plane of motion for you to exercise in? But the biggest thing to remember is putting your attention on the muscle you're working. So if I'm working chest, I want to feel it in my chest. If I'm working rear delts, I want to feel it in my delts. If I'm not feeling it, I need to tweak that exercise either with the weight that I'm using or how I'm actually performing that exercise in order so I can hit the target muscle group, isolate it, hit it, move on. It's back at it. Keeping the pace up here.
Wade has a slight bend in his elbow, which I find is normal. He's keeping his chest against his legs. Okay, so this really isolates the shoulders.
Exactly. And one of the reasons you take a little, you want it almost straight on any of the side delts with a little bend. That takes the pressure off the joints, okay?